Welcome to the Fox 54 Week in Review. I'm Kenesha Dees. It's the only place in North Alabama to get the week's local headlines condensed into one program. Here's a taste of what's ahead. Our top story this week, the city of Huntsville passed its 2026 budget of nearly $344 million, but not without first hearing from residents about their concerns. Let's take a look. Huntsville City Council held a meeting tonight to discuss the city's 2026 budget, along with a handful of other major items. As Fox 54's Valentina Chalala tells us, from zoning hundreds of acres to new technology for police, leaders say these decisions could shape the city's future.
The new budget proposes nearly $344 million. It would fund public safety, infrastructure, and city services, and includes a cost of living pay adjustment for city workers, set to take effect next year. But it was the public comment portion of the meeting that sparked some of the biggest conversations of the night.
Even the rule that Trey Riley brought up about people being able to speak if they have an ongoing case, that was one thing that happened that silenced voices in this meeting. If someone can say it on the sidewalk and they can say it publicly on the sidewalk, they should be able to come here and stand where everyone's watching and be able to say whatever they want. What I want to see come out of this personally, of course, is the redistribution of wealth and the fair treatment of other citizens, but also the archives to get digitized and get to where they're accessible for people in our community.
Community members raised concerns about how the city spends its money and whether enough is being done to protect and support North Huntsville. This comes after the city shut down a local Black-owned business last week, 708 Bar and Grill. The city citing elevated instances of violence at the restaurant, but the owners tell Fox 54 it's an effort to stop Black urban development.
My reason for coming today is to support the owner and founder of 708. I'm willing to do whatever so his voice can be heard. Don't just pick and choose what side you want to beautify. I think you should do it as a whole.
In Huntsville, I'm Valentina Chalala, Fox 54 News.
And for more information regarding the City Council meeting, from new development to new technology, go to fox54.com. This week, we followed the municipal runoff races in 4 North Alabama cities: Madison, Decatur, Guntersville, and Moulton. See who won and which city had a very surprising outcome. Every vote counts in tonight's municipal election runoffs. Key decisions being made by voters, decisions as to who will fill pivotal roles in municipalities across the Tennessee Valley. It's where we start tonight. I'm Kenesha Dees. We'll take you first over to Decatur, where District 4 residents voted to fill the final seat on the City Council. We're now joined by Gabe Glassman, who's in Decatur. Gabe, we do have a winner.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Kenesha. We do have a winner in this District 4 race. District 4 residents went to the polls tonight to decide who would fill that final spot on Decatur City Council. Pam Wursler has received the Decatur District 4 City Council elect vote. Decatur posting the unofficial results earlier tonight. Wursler receiving 562 of those votes. Her opponent, Sarah French, receiving 332 votes. So about 230 votes difference there. French and Wursler were the two runoff candidates in that initial election back in August. They beat out 3 other candidates. I was able to speak to Wursler at her watch party. She says she's ready to serve her constituents.
I've been going out into the districts, obviously, and even now they're telling me some issues, and I've been turning them into the city, and they've been taking care of it. And I follow up and make sure that it gets done, so I'm already doing it. That was a big shift from the original vote, and I'm just kind of overwhelmed at the response. But like I said, it takes a team. My husband, who is going to have surgery on his knee, has been out there with me on the roads this whole time. It's been a hard fight. It's been longer than I anticipated. It's been the hardest thing I've ever done, but I couldn't do it alone.
Again, Pam Wursler, your Decatur District 4 City Council elect. Now, these are the unofficial results. The votes will be canvassed at a City Council meeting on September 30th at 12 p.m. Live in Decatur, Gabe Glassman, Fox 54 News.
And now we head over to Guntersville. A tie vote in August last month led to a runoff for the city's mayoral election. The candidates, Attorney Jeff McLaughlin and incumbent Mayor Lee Dollar. A historic race. Fox 54 spoke with candidates ahead of tonight's vote, and they told us they're ready to finish the race. Well, it's finally over, and Guntersville now has a new mayor. Let's bring in Fox 54's Caleb Aguayo, who has been out in Guntersville all evening to certify those results. Caleb, who broke the tie in tonight's race?
Kanisha, it's been a heated race tonight. Both candidates have been on the town all summer, knocking on doors, meeting with constituents, and hearing about the various problems that the city faces. And all that pounding the pavement paid off, because tonight we finally have a winner. Lee Dollar won Guntersville's runoff election by nearly 500 votes, being re-elected the city's mayor after a long-fought race. Voters made it out to the polls all day, with dozens coming out to the Guntersville Rec Center after work to cast their ballot. Some stood with signs for one final push, while others made an entrance and quickly went back home. But one thing is clear: everyone who voted came with the idea that their vote matters, and it showed tonight with a broken tie.
We've worked really hard all summer long, but this time we really focused on getting people to show up, and I think they saw from the first election that their vote does count, and so I think people really took it to heart, and they did show up today. I'm ready to go to work, but we also have 6 new council, so we're going to get to know each other, find out what's important to them and their constituents, but we will continue. I would hope that we would continue on with the projects that we've already started and finish those out. We've got our recreation projects that we're right in the middle of. We've got some key intersections that we're working on, and just some other projects.
You just heard it for yourself. Dollar and the new city council will take their seats in November. Until then, the current council will finish out their term. Live in Guntersville, I'm Caleb Aguayo, Fox 54 News.
The city of Moulton ended last night's runoff with another hang-up. The polls were closed and the ballots counted, but the District 1 City Council seat still didn't have a clear winner. When the ballots were counted, Danny Morris had 39 votes, Reagan Eves had 36 votes, and Marcia Ferris had 23. After some deliberation today, the council will be moving forward with Morris, the candidate with the highest number of votes. Fox 54's Caleb Aguayo shows us the latest out of Moulton.
3 candidates fought in a close runoff for Moulton's District 1 City Council seat, with none of them getting the majority of the vote. But today, the Attorney General's office, the Secretary of State, and Moulton's municipal attorney decided to move forward with Danny Morris, the leading candidate with almost 40% of the vote. It's all based on a state Supreme Court ruling from 1993. The ruling says that the person receiving the highest number of votes for that office in the runoff election shall be declared elected. Emily Edwards with the city of Moulton said in a statement, Moulton will not hold a second runoff, and the person with the highest amount of votes in District 1 will be the winner. Danny Morris received the largest amount of votes in the municipal runoff election, and thus will be the new council member for District 1. The Attorney General's opinion came just hours ago, with the city of Moulton announcing the canceled runoff at about 2 p.m. Edwards says it was a long-fought race, and the 3 candidates campaigned all summer long, but in the end, it came down to people getting out to go vote.
In total, in District 1, there were 99 votes in the general municipal election. In the runoff, there were 98 votes. So it was very close to the same amount as the original. I think it just come down to candidates getting out and campaigning, and that's what kind of moved the votes different ways.
Morris says with him in the District 1 seat, there will be some big changes coming to Moulton.
I'd just like to see the city ran in a little bit different, more efficient manner, but I don't see a lot of improvements happening. And there's a lot of things that we need to have done. Streets need to be repaired. So many potholes in the streets around the city. It's terrible to drive on from time. And got a lot of drainage issues.
Like in other cities around the Tennessee Valley, Morris and the new city council will take their seats in November. In Huntsville, I'm Caleb Aguayo, Fox 54 News.
Well, the final runoff election results are in for a Madison City Council seat in District 4, where Erica White has won, rather District 6, where Erica White has won the race. With 100% of precincts reported, White received 751 votes to Scott Harbor's 454 votes. This runoff was triggered when neither candidate received a majority in the initial election. To learn more about this election, District 6 and the city of Madison, and to keep up with all the other runoff elections happening across North Alabama, go to fox54.com. Every September, thousands join the Trail of Tears motorcycle ride, remembering Native Americans who were forced from their lands as part of the Indian Removal Act of 1830. Our Gabe Glassman met with riders to learn more about the event.
996. That's how many miles separate Cherokee, North Carolina, and Sulphur, Oklahoma. This is what's known as the Trail of Tears. Events stemming from the Indian Removal Act of 1830, Native Americans in the Southeast were forced out of their homes, told to relocate to new Indian territory, what we know today as Oklahoma. There were multiple ways to get there, from on foot or on the water, but thousands died on the journey. Earlier today, on the third Saturday in September, a train of motorcyclists continued their travel on the road out west, going from Bridgeport to Waterloo, remembering the history. The Trail of Tears motorcycle ride is back on the road for its 32nd year. It's been deemed one of the largest group rides in history. Motorcyclists come from all over the country to take part. Everyone I spoke to during their stop in Madison says it's a way to remember the real history of the Trail of Tears.
We're just not a bunch of shiny motorcycles in chrome and leather. We're honoring the legacy of our forefathers who endured those hard times in 1830, and in 1838 is when the actual Trail of Tears was forced from their homes with nothing but the shoes on their feet and the clothes on their back to make this horrendous trek across country.
This is to commemorate that major event that took place and how bad we actually treated the Indians at the time. This is commemorating the march of the Native American Indians, 5 tribes of the southeastern United States, all the way to Oklahoma. They got on paddle boats in Waterloo, Alabama, and worked their way across to Oklahoma.
The route these riders are on is the general way 5 tribes crossed North Alabama, according to organizers. Participants say the ride is a way to remember history and making sure nothing like what happened in the mid-1800s ever happens again.
We're riding so that people won't forget what was done to the American Indians in the past. Because if it happened once, it can happen again.
It's good to bring attention to something in America's history that should never have happened, and that we only avoid if we understand how it happened in the first place.
I don't have any Indian heritage in myself, but I very much appreciate the support that they've provided, our defense that they've offered to our community. So that's why I got involved.
The motorcyclists will carry on tomorrow and are expected to arrive in Oklahoma on Tuesday.
It's been almost a week since Charlie Kirk was laid to rest. Some residents in Morgan County held a memorial for the conservative political figure who was assassinated on September 10th.
Charlie Kirk did not deserve to die.
Hundreds breaking out lawn chairs in Morgan County at the Frederick Outdoor Shop Sunday afternoon, gathering to honor the life of conservative commentator Charlie Kirk.
He shared his love of God, his love of country, and he was a good conservative warrior.
For us today, it's just to remember his life, but to encourage people to be bold, to share their faith, and to speak truth in the face of disagreement. On college campuses, we need more dialogue, not more indoctrination, but an opportunity for people to think for themselves. That's what college was really about. Socrates, Aristotle, those guys started with just this idea of talking and debating issues. So Charlie kind of brought to me a breath of fresh air.
People here at Sunday's event feel more open debates should be welcomed in. This includes Brylan Hollyhand, a 19-year-old college freshman and political commentator who saw Kirk as a mentor.
Charlie stayed a friend and a mentor. He texted me, congratulating me. He always took that time to be that friend and supporter. We talked up until a few hours before his death, and we're going to continue his legacy for him by running the baton in this race because it's that important.
Hollyhand is working to continue Charlie's legacy, partnering with Turning Point USA on a 10-stop college tour with stops in Tuscaloosa and Auburn in October.
Today's really hard. We're grieving a friend, but I know that Charlie would want us to be happy and rejoicing that he is in paradise with his Lord and Savior, and would want us to continue running this good race for him.
I think it's important that we resonate, we emulate what Charlie was doing as he was here. People who disagreed with him, we've got to a point in our culture that disagreement is hate, but that should never be the case. It should be disagreement calls for dialogue. Then we debate the issues, and then we determine where we want to go from there.
America's got to find its heartbeat. We've got to figure this out. This infighting is going to be the death of us.
Let's take a look at this week in Huntsville and Madison. Industry leaders met to talk about the local space economy. Calhoun Community College students got the chance to learn about recovery resources, and the future of how animal control will be handled in Madison County was up for debate. Leaders in government, industry, and NASA met in Huntsville today to talk about the future of the commercial space economy. The event highlighted how companies in the Marshall Space Flight Center are positioned to drive growth as U.S. Space Command prepares to make its headquarters the Rocket City. Fox 54's Valentina Chalala explains.
Huntsville's discussion on the commercial space economy focused on how innovations in low Earth orbit are improving life on Earth, from telecommunications to medical advances. Marshall Space Flight Center is adding a $45 million exploration facility to support future lunar missions, while the arrival of Space Command strengthens the city's role in both exploration and national defense.
But you look at the 21 categories that were evaluated, the cost to do business here saves the taxpayers almost $1 billion or $500 million. But there's going to be a huge recruiting to fill these jobs with the brightest minds we can find. And those are the things that the city and the counties in all of North Alabama have worked for.
The Marshall Space Center and Huntsville are shaping the future of both exploration and defense missions. The growing collaboration between government and private industry, including the work that Voyager Space is doing in the region, directly supports U.S. Space Command headquarters and America's priorities in orbit.
And NASA is planning so that we don't have a gap in low Earth orbit. And so companies like Voyagers and others will be building a commercial space station so that we don't have that gap in continuous human presence in space. The mission early on was make space great for humanity. How do we expand the benefits of space to all humankind? And we're doing that with our commercial LEO destinations.
Industry leaders say this combination of NASA, private companies, and Space Command could create billions of dollars in economic activity and position Huntsville as the center of America's commercial space economy. In Huntsville, I'm Valentina Chalala, Fox 54 News.
Experts say the blend of innovation and defense will keep Huntsville at the forefront of America's work in space for decades to come. The Recovery is Here campaign brought hope and resources to students and community members today at Calhoun Community College. Attendees learned about local and statewide support, including hotlines for general assistance and mental health crises. The event also featured personal recovery stories, giving students real-life inspiration and practical tools to support friends or family members struggling with substance use disorder, while also encouraging open conversations about mental health and recovery.
What's unique about this campaign is we're partnering with community colleges all across the state to provide some programming that helps students to understand about how to access resources to help that person in their life that might be struggling with substance use disorder. So they're going to walk away with some really valuable information. And it's also going to be really encouraging to hear those recovery stories that are part of the programming.
Definitely some good resources there. Well, attendees learned about support hotlines, including 211 for general assistance and 988 for mental health crises. Students left the event with valuable information, hope, and access to resources showing that recovery is possible. Animal control is sparking debate in Madison County. One department handles calls for multiple cities like New Hope, Gurley, and Triana. But advocates say that setup creates gaps because county officers can issue neglect citations outside their jurisdiction, leaving some animal welfare cases falling through the cracks. Leaders are meeting at the courthouse or met at the courthouse today to discuss solutions, and advocates say it's time to act.
Madison County Animal Control is very responsive. They come when we call, and it's not long. But the issue is they cannot cite. They cannot give tickets. They have to leave a notice that they've been out and they have seen, the dog without food and water or the dog unrestrained, but on the property. I hope they work with the town and the county officials to better enforce and assist the citizens of Gurley, New Hope, and Owens Crossroads with controlling the animal population.
Let's take a look at a couple of things we verified this week. Are those white woolly bugs flying around dangerous? And do county coroners have to have medical experience? We've all seen them, tiny white floating things that settle on top of your car and stick to your clothes and hair. But what are they, and are they harmful to you, your pets, or your garden? Let's verify. These tiny white creatures have some folks wondering if it's snowing in September. We've seen your social media posts asking what those little white critters are. Tonight, we verify. Our sources are the Center for Invasive Species Research, Tennessee.gov, and the University of California's statewide Integrated Pest Management Program. According to the Center for Invasive Species, these bugs are Asian woolly hackberry aphids. They are commonly found on native hackberry trees, which we have in abundance here in the Tennessee Valley. An easy way to identify one of these creatures is by looking for the sticky honeydew they produce. You'll likely find the fuzzy blue or white mass on leaves, but are they harmful? According to the University of California IPM, these bugs are classified as a pest because of the residue they leave behind. Blackish sooty mold grows on their honeydew excretions, on leaves, and other surfaces. The residue has prompted some cities and towns to put hackberry trees on their no-plant lists, despite their usefulness as a shade tree. However, the aphids aren't known to cause any long-term or serious damage to hackberry trees. And the honeydew residue is not toxic to humans or animals. Tennessee.gov recommends removing your personal property from beneath infested trees to ward off the growth of that mold. So we can verify that no, those white flying objects are not harmful, just pesky seasonal little bugs. And if you have something you want us to verify, text us at 256-382-2692. You may not often think about the county coroner, but they play a crucial role providing answers after tragedies like car crashes or deadly fires. Seems like a job well suited to a doctor, but do Alabama county coroners have to have medical experience to be elected? Let's verify. You might think that in order to be a coroner, you have to have some type of medical training or experience. But since it's an elected role, how is that addressed? Do coroners have to be doctors? We verify. Our sources are the Code of Alabama Title 11, 15, and 1, as well as Chapter 5. According to Alabama Code Section 11533, coroners have to have the following qualifications. They have to be a U.S. citizen. They have to be a resident in the county in which they seek the office for at least 1 year and remain a resident of that county for the duration of their term. They must be a registered voter. They must be at least 25 years old. They have to have a high school diploma or its recognized equivalent. They cannot have been convicted of a felony or any offense involving moral turpitude. They must successfully complete the required training no longer than 180 days after election. And they must file an affidavit with the judge of probate to affirm they have met all of these qualifications. You may have noticed, none of these qualifications include medical experience. So, how can a coroner with no medical knowledge have the authority to certify any death within their jurisdiction? According to Alabama Code Section 1542, the coroner does not actually make the determination that a person is dead. The code reads, when a coroner has been informed that a person is dead in the county. This means that the coroner does not perform the medical examination that determines if a person has died. A medical professional, such as a paramedic, doctor, or surgeon, simply informs the coroner of the death. The coroner's duty is then to report the death and oversee, not perform, any investigation into the cause or manner of death. So we can verify that no, Alabama county coroners do not need any prior medical experience to be elected. If you have something you want us to verify, text us at 256-382-2692. And let's wrap up this week by meeting our latest top teacher of the 2025-26 school year, Jessica Wade of Westminster Christian Academy, and how she helps her students express themselves through art.
Now, Fox 54's top teacher, sponsored by Calhoun Community College.
Today, we'll take you to a classroom where creativity and the Christian faith collide. This teacher is all about the arts, and some say she does more than that. She enables her students to express themselves freely. Meet this week's Fox 54's top teacher, Jessica Wade from Westminster Christian Academy. Welcome to
like wrap it in paper, you can wrap it in tape if you wanted to.
Jessica Wade's classroom, where students get crafty, not only with their homecoming themed clothing, but with their art creations.
Right now we're doing the sculpture expo, and so they're getting a chance to experiment with different materials for sculpture. And so right now they're making things like helmets and things out of cardboard.
Wade has worked as an educator for 10 years. And she also says she's taught at Westminster Christian Academy for 5 years. She's integrated the love of innovation and faith in her classroom.
I always tell them, like, we are a creative being made by a creative God, right? So the ones that come in, I'm not creative, I'm not good at this. Yes, you are, and then here's how. And like we just show them, like, they're able to do different things. It may not be drawing, it may not be sculpting, but maybe they're really good at weaving or fibers, or maybe they're really good at collage or something like that.
One of her students, William Stanley, likes some of the projects he's been working on since the school year started.
We did a clay project where we shaped it into like a paint palette that we will actually use later, and that was pretty fun.
Wade's peers, like Director of Academics Marshall Elson, is a witness to the transformation in her classroom.
She leads that charge and really helps students show their gifts through art, and so we're grateful to have her.
Wade hopes her students build more than faith in her class, but confidence too.
I hope that they walk away knowing that they are talented, that they have a skill set, that they don't always walk in at the same level, but they hopefully walk out better than when they walked in, and hopefully with a little bit more confidence.
Congratulations, Jessica. Check out the moment she was surprised as the Fox 54 top teacher later tonight on Fox 54 Plus. Download on your TV, watch for free. Also, nominate a teacher on fox54.com. Congratulations to Miss Wade, and thank you all for watching Fox 54's Week in Review. Count on Fox 54 Plus to bring you more great programming with in-depth local specials, locked on sports, true crime, cooking shows, wellness experts, and continuing weather coverage. For everyone at Fox 54 News, I'm Kenesha Dees. Have a great weekend.